to start, y'all. From coast to coast, from shore to shining shore. You in front of the speakers, Jimmy in front of that microphone. Like the Lord intended. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Hey, feel that floorboard shake. Faith meets fire when Jimmy Lakey's away. Truth on his tongue, little smoke in the air. He'll say the words you won't even dare. Lakey unleashed and unfiltered. Unleashed and unfiltered. Coast to coast and shore to shore we roll. Politics and information. Infotainment, revelation. He talks Jesus, he talks real life. We are here for more. Unleashed and unfiltered. Oh, the show starts now. He's unafraid. Telling the truth. Quiet. Faith in his heart, a little fire in his hand. We're having church on the air. Amen. Amen. One time for the truth. One time for the truth. Two times for the king. Three times for the king. Three times for Jimmy Lakey. Three times for Jimmy. Let revival reign. Let revival reign. The show starts now. Now. Like you got me.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. 3 for Jimmy Lakey. Nice to have you. I lost count. I counted to 3, but I forgot who I was counting for. Nice to have you here. Jimmy is my name. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled to be here on a Monday. I forgot what day it was. Telling producer Chad in the morning meeting, I was very busy over the weekend. Too busy, busier than I want to be. And so in being busier than I wanted to be, I woke up and said, man, it's Sunday morning. It's going to be so great. And I'm plotting whether I'm going to the 9 o'clock or the 11 o'clock service. I'm really kind of thinking it out in my head. And about a little bit before the show, I was like, oh, we got a show today. It's Monday. I lost track of all time. So anyway, if you don't know, if you're confused like I was, it is Monday morning. And pleasure to just broke my pen, Delilah. The pen I was reaching for during the song, I just broke it. What color pen? It's like weird. That's a weird pen. Anyway, good to have you. It's Monday morning. If you did know, it is the 23rd day of March, year of our Lord 2026. Pleasure to have you here. Sad story here to start the morning that if you are flying today, hopefully you always set up text alerts and what have you for your phone to make sure that you know exactly if your flight has been delayed. If you're going to LaGuardia Airport this morning, it has been closed after a collision between a plane and a fire truck. Here's the story of what we know. Working on the story of the reopen. It should be reopening soon enough, but it was closed at least overnight. Temporarily halted air traffic New York after a late Sunday. So it has been reopened according to this story. The other story says it's still closed, so for investigation, but I think they mean that runway. The pilot and co-pilot were killed in the crash. It was an Air Canada Express jet and a fire truck. It occurred shortly after the regional airport jet out of Montreal had landed. 72 passengers. 4 crew members were reportedly on board. The jet was reportedly traveling over 100 miles per hour when it slammed into the fire truck. 71 people were taken to a nearby hospital with minor injuries. The fire truck was reportedly on the runway responding to an incident on another flight. The crash occurred shortly before midnight in LaGuardia, rattling nerves in an airline industry already grappling with long airport lines caused by temporary shutdown because of the Democrats of the Department of Homeland Security, under which the Department of Transportation Safety, TSA, security agents are working now without pay. The National Transportation Safety Board has dispatched a team to investigate the wreckage. The FAA ordered a ground stop that closed New York's second largest airport, and they have a GO team that is already on site. So there's video, there's footage out there from the scene of the plane being badly damaged, tipped upwards with the Port Authority fire truck on its side. So bottom line is that was a crash that happened maybe after you went to bed on Sunday night. At least a couple of people have died, and you just have to ask yourself, how much longer are we going to put up? Not saying that the lack of the lack of the funding of the Department of Homeland Security caused it, but it does cause you to say, we need to make sure we have all hands on deck at all time when it comes to safety in America and the airline. So thoughts go there. CBS News is reporting the incident was responding to a United Airlines flight that had to abort its takeoff after an anti-ice warning light came on. So the ice light, not anti-ice like ice agents, but the ice had it on the plane. So they reportedly had an odor in the cabin and requested the firefighters come to assist. The pilot said the flight attendants were feeling ill and they declared an emergency. The fire truck ran out. They're parked in the runway, and here comes the Air Canada flight. So I'm sure there's some mistakes somewhere, but it does remind you how volatile and sensitive it can be to travel, and you need to have all hands on deck. And unfortunately, the Democrats have kept us from funding the ICE, the Department of Homeland Security department, because they're mad at ICE. Speaking of, you get what you ask for. Did you hear this? ICE is going to the airports. That's right, to help out the struggling and stressed TSA agents that the Democrats will not fund, and the Democrats are making you wait in line at airports. Donald Trump says, well, we have another agency in the Department of Homeland Security that you're not funding, and they actually are getting paid because that was handled in the big, beautiful bill. So he's going to send ICE agents. Supposedly they're putting the plan together even yesterday, and they're going to help with the screening process. Now, ICE agents will not be behind the machines because they're not trained to look at the scans and all that, but they will be helping where they can to try to get things moving along at security checks in America. Say it with me, because Democrats have closed your airports across America because of their hatred of the orange man or Donald John Trump. So that is happening out there as well. So a lot of things happening at airports today, none of them unfortunately good. Again, why? Because the Democrats are refusing to staff their airports with TSA agents that are actually getting paid. More and more TSA agents are quitting, more and more are having to call in sick, and more are probably thinking of new careers. And who could blame you? Because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have decided that you are a pawn in the puppet game that they're playing, and you're just going to have to be on the chessboard, moved around at their will, and you're going to have to work for months on end without pay. Why? Because Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrat Party tell you you shall work without pay. You say, Jimmy, don't you think there's enough blame to go around? Tell me what blame there is. There's a bill that's out there, has been passed by a group in the House of Representatives. The Republicans have compromised and said, yeah, we'll do more training for ICE agents. We think that would be a good thing. We'll even work on body cams for them. The Republicans have given ground to try to get this moving, and the Democrats aren't giving any. So don't give me this bipartisan kumbaya. Everybody's got a role to play in this. Bull crap. I mean, let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff to blame Republicans for, but when you have these nasty ass Democrats up there that are holding people hostage that make an average, the average TSA agent average, I know more, some make more, is $40,000 a year, and you've got Chuckles Schumer, and you've got Hakeem Jeffrey, and you've got Jason Crow, and you've got Michael Bennett, and you've got John Hickenlooper, and you have all of these jackwagons out there that won't fund DHS because they're angry at ICE. Republicans have said, okay, we'll do more training. Let's do more training. Let's do that. Let's open this thing. And here's the new what? No, you won't do that. Okay, we'll do body cams. That way you can have cameras of everything that happens. No, we're not going to do that. I don't know how you can get stuck in this nonsense that you sometimes hear in the news. There's blame for both sides of this issue. I don't know if there is. I honestly don't know if there is. So you can disagree if you want. All right, I got a fun question of the day for you. I think you shall enjoy this. And the question of this day is, what is the best Chuck Norris joke you have ever heard, my friends? Chuck Norris, of course, passed away last week, and it was a sad day in America, sad day in the global universe, sad day in the whatever. I mean, it's a sad day, but Chuck Schumer gave us all a lot of great entertainment. A lot of folks, the Chuck Norris jokes were always very humorous. And so I want you to share your favorite Chuck Norris joke you have ever heard. You can share more than one. The great thing about Chuck Norris jokes is they force some of you blabbermouths out there in the chat room to keep it pithy. It forces you to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Let me give you the first one of the day. God said, let there be light. And Chuck Norris replied, yes, please. Oh, say please. I screwed it up. I don't even know what day it is right now. God said, let there be light. And Chuck Norris said, say please. Yeah. Most children check their closet for the boogeyman every night. The boogeyman checks his closet for Chuck Norris. What is your favorite Chuck Norris joke of all time? When Chuck Norris plays dodgeball, the balls dodge him. See, these are good. I like these. Chuck Norris is the only person who can slam a revolving door. I'm not going to use the condom one that I wrote down. Chuck Norris can divide by zero. Chuck Norris doesn't wear a watch. He simply decides what time it is. So I'm going to give me your best Chuck Norris joke ever. Hopefully you have one. If you haven't ever, if you don't participate in the Chuck Norris joke stuff, you need to stop watching Fox News and CNN, and you need to just lighten up a little bit. You really have to do it. So give me your favorite Chuck Norris joke. Chuck Norris once ate a Rubik's Cube. He pooped that thing out solved. It was all done. That's gross. That's gross. Who put that one in there? Chuck Norris can strangle you with a cordless phone. These are Chuck Norris jokes, extraordinary Chuck Norris jokes. And you know Chuck Norris, he can actually hear sign language. Yep, he knows what you're saying. The best Chuck Norris jokes of all time welcomed on the program today. I'd love to have you participate with us with the best Chuck Norris jokes of all time. Do that right there. All right, good to have you here on the show. Coming up, I want to tease all of you, and I don't want anybody to stumble in their walk with the Lord, but producer Chad is actually going to be hopping on the broadcast in just a little bit, and we're doing a little segment together coming up to talk with all of you about excitement that we had in our lives yesterday. So we'll talk about that. Let me know your Chuck Norris jokes. I'd love to hear that. And I'd also love to hear your airline stories. What is it that you're finding in the airports? I have not flown in this time, this window of opportunity, and I guess I'm glad I haven't flown during this window of opportunity because it sounds like the TSA lines are very much a pain in the butt. Love to get your take on that. Jeff puts up on the Facebook page, I just heard we paid for TSA services in our plane ticketing fees. Where's that money going? I don't know. If you look at all the ticketing fees in your airline ticket, God knows where any of that money goes. That's when they call it a fee, it's always a boondoggle. Listen, we in the state of Colorado know about fees. They give us new taxes, which are illegal without the vote of the people in Colorado because we have a taxpayer bill of rights passed by the voters. But our insincere jackass governor and the state legislature, they don't call them taxes. They just call them fees. And doing so, they raise your fees. And it's always for the children. There's a fee on this, a fee on that. And it's always for the greater good. It's always going to fix a pothole. It's always going to save a child. It's always going to do something. And yet it rarely does anything. It's very, very, very much a boondoggle that they have going on out there. So that's a great point. I'd never looked at the carriage of service or there's a thing they call that thing. It's all the list of fees and what you're agreeing to on an airline. And I've never looked at the whole list of it, but probably is a TSA fee. And what are you getting? 3-hour lines at some airports. I hear Houston is one of the Houston airports, one of the worst in the nation. Give me your experience. Love to hear from you on that topic of conversation. All right. So LaGuardia is open. But again, it makes you wonder, when are we going to refund the government? I think that would be a very good thing for all of us to ask. What else do I have? Oh, I've got this story I never did. Delilah reminded me when she saw the show sheet talking about LaGuardia. She said, you never talked about that Frontier Airlines flight in which someone got kicked off for not listening, but they were deaf. So let me do that story now. Delilah reminded me a bit ago that if you're going to talk airlines, you have to do that story. There's a TikTok video that's been making the rounds. It was a big deal last week if you're on the TikTok, showing a deaf woman named Ashley from being booted from a Frontier Airlines flight because she was not listening to the flight crew. In the video, Ashley is so upset she's sobbing. She insists she didn't do anything wrong and that she's not resisting. She's just embarrassed and doesn't want to walk the walk of shame down the aisle. Several people in the video are advocating on her behalf, including her own mother, who says her hearing impairment is listed on her ticket. In a caption, Ashley said she was rebooked on another flight and the gate agents apologized for the flight attendant's behavior. The video does not show what happened before this, but supposedly she brought her own alcohol on board and she refused to give it up. A spokesperson for Frontier said the woman was removed after boarding with an open container, which she admitted it contained alcohol when questioned. The spokesperson said bringing an open container of booze on the flight violates Frontier's policy and federal law. When the flight attendant informed the passenger of the violation, the passenger rapidly consumed the remaining alcohol in the cup before handing it over. The representative, hand over the cup. Hand over the cup. I'm drinking. Hand over the cup. Oh, I didn't hear you. I was deaf. I wonder if that's a good excuse. No, I'm not saying she wasn't deaf. There was no indication on the passenger's reservation that she is deaf or has any form of disability, and she was clearly and effectively conversing with them during the interactions, according to the airline representatives. So in Ashley's previous TikTok, she talks about learning that she was going deaf in her 20s. She has not commented on the situation or the alcohol claims. But so the TikTok version says she was kicked off because she was deaf and not listening. Then you dig the real story, and you find out that she was sipping the sauce with an open container, and she says, I can't hear you. Empty what? What? Empty what? The cup? Oh, no, I don't need another one. It's producer Chad. We should try that sometime. Just, I don't know, so find out. All right, glad to have all of you here. Linda puts out her Chuck Norris best joke of all times joke, and that is Chuck Norris counted to infinity 3 times. Yeah, he's a great guy. I'll match one. Let's see. Chuck Norris tells Simon what to do. You get it? Simon says, Delilah. That's a joke. Chuck Norris tells Simon before he forgot a gift for Chuck Norris, Santa Claus was real. You hear that? Before he forgot the gift for Chuck Norris, Santa Claus was a real thing. And then he wasn't. Don't forget Chuck Norris. Your best Chuck Norris jokes of all time. Love to hear those this morning. All right, we have a delay evidently in the program because brother R.P. Newman was supposed to join us, and he has not joined us. He has not jumped in. I don't know. I talked to him yesterday. I even provided him a fine cigar for his appearances today on the program, and I do not see R.P. Newman on the program. So we'll wait and see if R.P. Newman has his times crossed. I had a great introduction for R.P. Newman regarding Chuck Norris and whether there's some similarities between R.P. Newman and Chuck Norris. I had some great introduction for him, but I'm not going to waste those now because R.P. Newman is tardy to the conversation. Not sure where R.P. is at, but we'll see if we can make contact here with him momentarily. All right, let's do this. I want to remind you about Sherry Cree. Her website is homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Sherry's a fantastic realtor, and if you are out there, my friends, and you're thinking of buying or selling, you need to have that strategy session with Sherry, and you need to have an interview conversation. I know that somebody at your church or your Sunday school group or your small group or some neighbor down the street or somebody at the PTA sells or buys real estate. At least they have a real estate card. But the truth is, 70% of all agents in America did no transactions in 2025. In other words, they're out of practice. Maybe they just didn't know how to get the business. Maybe they just didn't work hard enough. I don't know. They're just not. They're not engaged in the day-to-day activity of knowing what the market is. And this is why you need to have an experienced realtor that is actively engaged on a daily basis with buying and selling, understanding the market. If you're on that I-25 corridor in Colorado, I'd say from Denver Central, and you draw like a big circle around that, you may reach out to Fort Collins, or we reach out to Greeley. You'll reach down to the Arvada, Park Meadows, Lakewood, Littleton, Aurora, Parker. You get the idea. The Boulder area of Longmont, you know the areas I'm talking about. Thornton, she's big time in Thornton. She just won a big award for being one of the best around. So here's what you need to do. Reach out to Sherry, have the strategy session, and find out exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. She'll help you figure it out. And she approaches that real estate from a different perspective. She says, hey, we make the right decision here. You're going to create generational wealth down the road, and she can help you walk that through. And what does that look like? Homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Make sure you tell her that you heard about her on the program, but it's homeswithsherry.com. How many of you are excited about Cuba? Of all the places that Donald Trump has talked about and or freed and or liberated, how many of you, somebody said yesterday, Venezuela is going to be our 51st state. I said, no, I think Greenland is our 51st state. And then, Canada, we talk about Canada becoming a state or parts of Canada. And now you have Venezuela, that could be a state. And so I kind of tongue in cheek, but I have to ask you, if you have to choose one of those for the 51st state, it ain't going to be Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, they gave us Bad Bunny. They should be punished and maybe lose a lot of privileges for producing Bad Bunny there. I'm thinking, Puerto Rico, you screwed yourself. You gave us Bad Bunny. You said, oh, it's our favorite song, Bad Bunny. He's going to perform at the Super Bowl. Well, great. You should be downgraded from territory to, like, I don't know, prison colony, because you gave us Bad Bunny and the stupidity that entails there. But I think Cuba, if we get to choose the 51st state, Venezuela's too far. Canada, there's still Canadians up there. I mean, you could call it America, but you're putting lipstick on a pig up there, and you got Canadians. I'm not sure about that. They gave us Justin Trudeau. They should also be a penal colony because of that. Greenland, let's just use that as a military base. I like that idea. Venezuela, again, too far. I don't want Iran as a 51st state, even though we're going to free that place. That cesspool of idiocy. Is that idiocy? Is that a word? I'm not even sure it is. I'm thinking Cuba. Now, there's stories coming out of Cuba, my friends, that Trump is looking to sever Cuba from sponsorship of foreign patrons. He wants to cut off the influence of China and Russia there, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. Cuba is on the brink of collapse. They're trying to strike a deal with the United States government, but they don't have the right hand to bargain with Donald Trump at this time. So here's the story. Cuba first received significant support from Soviet Union shortly after the 1959 revolution. The island depended on that support from the old Soviet communists for decades until the dissolution of the USSR in 1991. Did I let you know that there was no Soviet Union after 1991? Then it became Russia again. Since that time, there have been a spiral of economic woes, and the island's oil supply has been in trouble. It's just been a cesspool, frozen in time, even worse because of the lack of the support that was coming from the Soviet Union. Well, President Trump is executing the playbook that he developed for Venezuela to pressure the same thing he did in Venezuela to pressure the regime. He's doing that in Cuba, essentially shutting off the island's oil supply. There are signs that the regime is starting to feel the heat. And the question becomes, when is it that Cuba will fall, and whether or not there will be boots on the ground? It's likely in Cuba, just observing it, but we don't get a lot of news out of Cuba, which is, again, shows the laziness of the American media. That would be an easy place to probably have someone on the ground, at least doing some kind of a clandestine reporting. But there's stories that about the third time in a row, nationwide, island-wide, they're about to shut off their electricity. It's been a blackout. There have been protests in the streets, and the existing Cuban government says, hey, America, don't mess with us. We have a military that's ready for you. That's funny. That's funny. Anybody think that the Cuban military is really ready to take on the U.S. military? I mean, you can see Iran. They've been developing weapons for years. You can see all that. And Venezuela as well. But Cuba, I'm just not thinking there's going to be any great military kickback, and I'm guessing a lot of folks would love to get out of the cesspool of communism that the Castro family has brought them. So, which would be the 51st state? I'm thinking it would be, the 51st state, it would be a fantastic place to be Cuba. And I will, whether I'm a Marriott's Diamond or so, I don't know. And I'm telling you, I would love to, I'll go there. I'll go to Cuba for that. Indeed, I will. All right, let me do this. Let's bring in producer Chad. Ladies, close your eyes. I don't want you to stumble in your walk with the Lord. But before I do, let me give this setup. Saturday morning, I was up very late handling a new business venture. And about the time I thought I was going to go home and get some rest and respite, I got a message on the WhatsApp from my contact, my field director in Africa, in Rwanda. I got a message from Jonas is his name, and said, Jimmy, we're about to hit a wall. And I'm thinking, well, I hope this is not a car crash. No, it was not. I've been talking about a food problem. And we always need extra food, and the food costs have gone up. And one of the things is we have more kids in our school than we have sponsorships. And, I understand the sponsorship commitment. So, but we constantly kind of playing catch up, especially January, February, March, and April, especially until we get to the summer months. It starts to pick up a little bit, but it's kind of a predictable thing. But I have been, we're a little bit of stress. Went to my chiropractor the other day and he goes, "What the heck is up with you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, you need like 5 massages before you come in here. That's the stress level I built up. I don't shy. I keep it to myself. Probably not a good thing, says my therapist. So anyway, he said we're actually $2,487 short for the month. So okay, $2,487. And I said, all right, we'll figure it out. He says, no, you don't understand. $2,487. If we don't get that the next by Monday morning, they're 9 hours ahead. We can't pay the market, and kids won't come to school. We're really in bad shape here. I need $2,487. Well, I looked at, again, Rivers Promise is not an organization that keeps a lot of money in the bank. We don't pay salaries here. Nobody. We send it to Africa, and I looked in the bank. I said, well, I can do that for the Rivers Promise account, but if I do that, guess what's going to happen? I've got payroll due on the 25th over there. So payroll is going to be going out tomorrow or today, and they're wired over there. I've got payroll. And if I do that, then we're going to be short on payroll. So I don't know what to do. So I stressed about it and stayed up way too late chatting with my field director to look for solutions and make sure we have everything as dialed in on cost and spending as we did. I got to bed about 2-3 in the morning. And woke up early on Sunday morning, and I was operating a little sleep. And I said, I don't know what to do. And I said my prayers to the good Lord. And I said, well, I guess the best thing I can do is at least let the board of directors know that if I'm going to blow this thing up, it's blowing up on my watch. I $2,487, and I've contributed we're there. It's not a lot of money, and so put an email out to 3 board members, and within a couple of hours, we had all kind of pulled it together, and we figured it out. So producer Chad and I jumped in on that, and so I said, all right, I have $2,487. I'm in for 500 of it at least. I'll do the 500. I'll do 500 of it. And producer Chad said, I'll do 500 of it as well. And what we'd like to do now is get ahead with those 500, because another board member said he'd cover a big chunk of it. And so what we're going to do is we want to spend producer Chad's money. Producer Chad, you're cooking. Bring producer Chad up. Hit the button there. He'll bring producer Chad in the conversation. Don't stumble, ladies. Don't stumble. There he is. I know you're swooning and you're about to faint right now. Oh my God, I know. Ladies, don't think those thoughts. The Lord does not approve of those thoughts that you're thinking right now. Producer Chad, let's talk about this. We have a food shortage. You are aware of this, and you said yesterday, okay, you'll put 500 in. I'll put 500 in. We kind of matched each other, and we have an ongoing food issue, and you also committed to the amount that you're going to give to a food problem. What was your motivation, sir? Did I interrupt anything important on a Sunday afternoon? And let's talk about the $500. You're in for 500. I want someone to match it.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we've done this before, and we had some great success. A lot of people stepped up and helped us. And so, yeah, I'm in for 500, and what we'd like to do is see if somebody wants to match. So basically I'll match up to 500. You're matching up to 500 as well.
I'll match up to 500 as well. So you and I are going to match up to $500. So people get to, if this were a video game, because we said, we'll give it. I said, well, let's get other people involved. Because again, the shortage is, this month is 247 out of shortage. Last month, I made that up kind of privately. But people can match your funds. It's a way to spend producer Chad money. That's right.
Spend my money.
And with the money you make on this show, sir, there's a lot of money to spend.
Yeah. I'm spending more than I make to do this show. That's for sure. But
we both are. So,
but you asked about my motivation, and there's a couple things I wanted to share. And one of them is, late last week, you and I were working on. We get, the photos and the letters from all the kids, all the sponsored kids, and we got ours. And this has been sitting on our kitchen counter the last few days over the weekend. And our kids and my mother-in-law saw it, and they all read it, and they were like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I'm in the process of writing Kevin back, our sponsored kid, and so that was part of the motivation. The other part of the motivation is. You've introduced me to some scripture that has really played a significant part of my life. And I kept going back to Matthew 25, where Jesus says, whatever you did for the lesser of these, you did for me. And then, fast forward to the book of James, talks about the definition of religion, taking care of orphans and widows. And the whole weekend, knowing the crisis that we were in with our food shortage, that kept coming back to me. And so I said, what if I'm not sacrificing, then I'm not really giving. I'm not really fulfilling what Jesus has asked us to do, and that's to take care of the lesser. And so I said, when you sent the email out, I said, I can do 500, and it's not easy. There's certainly a lot of other things that I could put that money towards, but if it's not a sacrifice, then then I feel like we're not really doing enough. And so I'm just asking everybody, if you can make that sacrifice, whatever that is, if it's, $10, $100, $1,000.
Well, there's sometimes people are thinking, I'd like to give, but it's only $20. But if you know that you're giving $20 and you're going to unleash the potential of $500 behind it because it's matching, suddenly your $20 becomes $40. Your $100 becomes $200. Because sometimes we think I don't have a lot to give. It's a bigger need. It's $2,000. It's $5,000. Lakey needs, we need $300,000 to build a building right now and to finish our construction. And we have one guy that's actually, we'll talk about this later at our casino gala. I got a guy that stepped up and said he'll give $350,000, but he's going to match it. So
Right.
He puts the onus on us to go match it, but that we need 300 because we needed 600, but he's going to match it. So on that one, you give $100, you give 1,000. And so that's sometimes something we all think, I can't build a building. Hey, no, you can double your impact. I can't feed a whole school. You can, because you can double your impact, because producer Chad will match up to $500 and I'll match up to $500. So if everybody just chips in a little bit of money, even $1 becomes $2. It becomes a kind of a magical moment. The momentum is created. You're creating more momentum with your gifts today than you would yesterday, because it's going to be matched up to $500 by producer Chad, and I'll match up to $500 as well. So if one person gives $500 today, boom, producer Chad will give his $500. If another person gives $500, I'll give it, but we can do it incrementally.
Yep.
Chad, you got that letter from your kid. You have it right there handy?
I do.
If I recall, your kid wants to be a soldier. That's Kevin. What do we know about Kevin? He's a kid you sponsor every month.
Yep. So he's in P2 class, and
that's equivalent to second grade. P stands for primary 2. So primary school 2.
His dream is to be a soldier, and of course that hits home for me because I'm a veteran, and so he likes to play football, which we know is soccer here. And I know when I was over there, it's already been 3 years now.
3 years, yeah.
3 years, right? Actually, 3 years, literally right now. We were in Africa,
yeah,
and we were playing. I remember we were playing soccer with the kids. We took an American football over, and River and some of the guys were playing football with them. But if he can, whatever we can do to sponsor him so that he can become a soldier and serve the country of Rwanda and give him an opportunity in the future, then that's what we've committed to do. And like I said, I didn't know that about him until this letter that we just got. But that certainly hits home here in our house. So good for Kevin, and we'll certainly do what we can to make his dream come true.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, matching funds on the table. We had a big need yesterday. We had Brother Ben stepped up, and he took care of a lion's share of all we needed. But producer Chad and I said we want in on the game as well. And producer Chad, out of his own pocket, not making this up, out of his own pocket, will match gifts today up to $500. All of these gifts will go to food. They'll go to our food shortage. We can solve it here in the next, we have 7-8 days left in March, but we are going into the month of April behind the 8 ball. And so producer Chad will match up to $500, and then I will also match up to $500. And so we'll just all match some gifts. And so we have the potential right now to make a big difference. And there's momentum. You say, why don't just give the 500? Well, because it creates momentum when I say, hey, if I got 5, will you help me a little bit? And we'll give it together. And that's what you're doing. You're joining hands with producer Chad. You're joining hands with me, and we're making a bigger impact than what we could do alone. Listen, I'm not it takes a village type of person. But when it comes to this kind of thing, 2 are better than 1. The Bible actually says that 2 are better than 1. 3 is a cord that can't be broken. You get the idea. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there about partnering together, and that's what we want to do. It does say that, right? I just make that up. I hope I don't get struck with lightning for making crap up. Producer Chad, $500 matching funds. I got $500 on the table, and Delilah's wondering whose money should she spend first if she makes a donation. I guess they could specify, I want to spend producer Chad's money. I want to spend Lakey's money. They could specify. It doesn't matter to me. Either way, help us out. And if you go to riverspromise.org, where you match Jimmy and producer Chad, we got between the 2 of us, we got $1,000 pooled together. And the other $1,000 we're spending on this show every day, I think. I don't know. But it help us out if you would. Make a donation. It's all going to food. It not only helps us close the gap in the next 8 days in March, and we had an immediate need that I had to get the money over there immediately. And when you have money, a need like that, you're not going to the bank to wire it, which we normally do. You're going to Western Union, and you're trying to get the money there instantly because it was a pretty big crisis we had yesterday. But we're going to start April as well behind the 8 ball on the food bill, and we'd appreciate it. So $500 from producer Chad, $500 from Brother Lakey, and if you'll give it, you give a portion of it. Even $5, it becomes $10. Your $10 becomes 20. Your 20 becomes 40. Your 50 becomes 100s. I'm losing some of you because you went to public schools, but nevertheless, your 250 becomes 500, just like that. But yeah, just like that. It becomes, do the math, Delilah. Don't get confused. All right, producer Chad, I will let you know. I've got my computer screen open here that if anything pops in during the show, but it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Well, who wants to spend producer Chad's money? That's the question. Who's smarter than a 5th grader? No, it's who wants to spend producer Chad's money, and you can do that right now. All right, producer Chad, I appreciate you, brother, and I will talk to you here in a bit. But producer Chad, behind the scenes, that's what he looks like, and that's where he produces the show from. That's why I don't get anything thrown at me during the program, because he's in a different location. You know,
everybody. If you can't donate, just say a prayer for us that those that can will step up and help us out. God bless and thank you.
Yeah, I talked a lot there. I didn't let you talk much. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's right. That's what you're good at. That's why you're the host and I'm the producer.
Yeah. You want to say anything else?
No.
Okay. I realized producer Chad's sitting there going, "Yeah, Lakey." I'm like, sorry, I talk a lot. Producer Chad, God bless you, my friend.
Right.
I was yapping.
God bless.
See you, brother. All right. $500 of matching funds from producer Chad for our charity organization, riverspromise.org. He's going to do 500. I'll do 500. We'll match it up. Indeed, we shall, and will help us out. It's all feeding the kids. It's all going to go to feed the kids. It's buying food. It's paying the markets. We buy food. You know, there's no King Soopers. There's no Safeway. There's no Albertsons. There's no big stores. There's no Sam's Club or Costco that we can go shop at. We're buying from local markets, and you know, they're gracious sometimes to give us a couple of days to pay, but we got to pay those bills. And today was a crunch time, and appreciate your help. riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, across America, thousands of earballs will hear this show on a daily basis. Thousands of earballs hear the show. They watch it on the YouTube. They listen to the podcast, the streamcast, and the broadcast. And some of you watching it live, and you may look at one of your feeds. You're like, oh, there's not a small amount of people here. Well, we're on multiple feeds on multiple platforms, and we've got people everywhere that will watch it live, rewatch it live, or they will listen to the podcast version of the show later. And you might know that we broadcast from the beautiful state of Colorado. It used to be a heck of a lot more beautiful before Jared Polis became our governor and destroyed the once amazing state of Colorado. Like the state of California, we're getting a lot more people leaving Colorado than were coming to Colorado. It used to be different. For the last decade, it's been people fleeing California that show up in Colorado because they're just trying to get the heck out of Gavin Newsom's state and the hellhole that he has created regarding cost and things. And Colorado's in the same boat. I feel the pain of California because I know what we're feeling in our state. It's almost impossible to be a first-time home buyer. Again, we have more people leaving the state than we have coming, and Colorado is a beautiful state, so is California. So I want to welcome in the program somebody that you may not know the name, but he is a candidate for governor in the state of California, and his name is Sean Collinson, and he joins me here on the program, lieutenant governor candidate. I said governor, but lieutenant governor candidate. I just gave you a promotion.
Gave me a promotion on the job, on the spot.
You're welcome. I do that. I'll give you a pay raise too on the spot. I don't mind. I throw things out. I'm like Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. I don't know where you're getting it, but you get one.
Nice. I love it. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend, from the glorious state of Colorado to the beautiful state of California. First of all, talk about Sean Collinson. Who are you, and why should people outside of California, why do you want to talk to all of America? Give us the details.
I want to talk to all America. I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be on the show this morning. I'm a mediator. I'm not a politician. I'm a mediator. And so the mediator's role is just to bring people together. Let's find common ground. Let's work together. I believe we're going to be 10 times stronger together than we will ever be going by these political machines. I was listening to your show right as you were coming on. You're right. You're right. People are leaving California. The U-Haul, I don't know if you've checked the U-Haul index, but it's up more in 2025 than ever. People are leaving the state, and the income of U-Hauls back to California has not happened. I'm a mediator. I'm also an FBI trained hostage negotiator. So I deal with complex issues all day. And as a mediator, bring people together. Let's have the people's voice instead of the party's voice. And let's just do the right thing for the state. I believe we can do that. Fourth largest economy. Gavin bragged about that, but he didn't brag that Japan left. So I'm going to put that on the record.
Yeah. You have a career in the private sector, the FBI trained, etc. What is it that causes a guy like you to want to get into that nasty world of politics? I ran for Congress, so I understand. There is something inside of us, and it's not always narcissism, Delilah. It's sometimes we do want to serve our country and our people. But what causes you? I mean, California is a mess, and what causes Sean Collinson to say, I need to get in here and try to fix this thing? What's the motivator there? Because it's a dirty sport.
Well, the motivator, I think, for me and my why is that God loves a mess. God sends you into a mess. And as a mediator for the last 24 years, I've gone into some really messy situations. But what we have found is there's going to have to be an agent of reality. And so my role is to come in and just get things cleaned up. It is a mess. People have affordability issues. I mean, it is the cost of living in California is out the window. It's a mess. Homelessness, it's a mess. Public safety, it's a mess. And then we keep getting the same broken promises. So my job is to come in, and the reason I want to do it is because I believe I'm the best candidate as a mediator to come into Sacramento and just get both sides working together for the people's interests and not the parties.
If you're one of the thousands of earballs that listen to the show throughout the course of the day, if you're listening only on the podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, that's the voice of Sean Collinson, a candidate for lieutenant governor in California. Sean, in California, help us understand, you have something called, I think, ranked tier voting, in which it's not necessarily about Republican and Democrat, which party gets the most vote. It's about individuals. Kind of talk about the process of the lieutenant governor election in California. And also, you might as well include the fact that, well, we'll start there. The process of how you elect a lieutenant governor and what power, what authority does a lieutenant governor have in California?
All right, that's a great question. So the ranked tier, so basically, the parties are going to be on the ballot. So the one thing that I feel that they are doing is they leave the no party preference candidates out. Like they're not important because the no party preference candidate is not invited to the fraternity. They're not invited to the party. So when they do the California Democratic Convention and these big monstrosities that they do, they don't invite everyone. So the fair piece of this is missing because we don't get to debate. to your second question, the lieutenant governor sits as the president of the Senate, breaking critical litigation and tie breaking on the votes if they get gridlocked. Also, the lieutenant governor sits on the board of regents, trustees, and governors for the community college UCs and CSUs. So the lieutenant governor has a lot of leverage with making sure that tuition's affordable, housing for the students are affordable. So when it comes to higher education, the lieutenant governor has a lot of leverage and influence there. Also, the lieutenant governor sits as a steward on the Lands Commission, so dealing with millions and millions of coastal resources and coastal assets. So the lieutenant governor is just not, a lot of people think it's just a ceremonial job. It's not. It's what you're going to be able to come in and do with the office. For the few years, it's been sort of just held hostage, and there's been a stronghold on the position. Now, the lieutenant governor and the governor, they don't run together. This is not like president and vice president. So it's two separate tickets. However, you would want to align with the governor if you're a lieutenant governor, because I believe that for the people, they're going to have a quicker opportunity to speak to the lieutenant governor or get into that office, community town halls. We get together and we talk about things. People need someone that is going to actively listen to them, but not only listen, make false promises, take their concerns to Sacramento. And that lieutenant governor is going to have to work closely with the governor. Also, if the governor is ever unavailable, out of the country, or something happens to the governor, the lieutenant governor automatically would assume that position.
Again, the voice of Mr. Collinson. He's running for lieutenant governor in the great state of California. He's our guest on the program right now. We hear news stories. I lived in California for a brief stint of time, lived in the Bay Area, the San Jose area, for a brief stint of time, and it was expensive then. This was in the early 2008, 9, 10. So it was very expensive then. Is that right? Is that the right time that I lived there, Delilah? No, you don't know. You were working for me then. I lived there for a period of time, and glorious state, beautiful, and it was not as much of a mess then as it is now, but it was a mess then as well. It's very expensive. Help us understand, is all the stuff that we hear, you talk about the U-Hauls leaving the state, what are the boots on the ground see? How high is it? How expensive is it? How much of a wage gap, income gap, opportunity gap is there? You know, we hear news stories, we read stuff, but let's get it from you, Sean Collinson. You live there. How much of a mess is this place?
I do. That's a really fair question. I mean, California is talking about they're the fourth largest economy in the world. And that is true. The state is rich on paper, but the prosperity of the state is not translating over to the everyday people, the small business owners, the teachers. It's just not doing it. And I think people are having a real issue with just sort of this broken promise thing from the Democrats. The party has been held. It's a stronghold. If we don't do something different on June 2nd for the primaries, that's when you guys in California are going to vote. If we don't do something different, we'll keep getting what we have. And so far, what we do know is the cost of living, the gas. We pay the highest on the gas taxes. We pay the highest on insurance premiums. We pay the highest on everything moving. So registration, people are dying over the registration. We have the registration average is a couple of $100 more than every other state in the country. Why are we squeezing small business owners so horribly? The reason is because the small business owners, these guys are community. They put the youth programs together. You ever drive by an elementary school and you see the banners up on the fence? Those are small business owners. But every time I speak to a small business owner, they say, hey, I'm packing up and leaving. They were going to Dubai until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now they're trying to stay in the States. But ultimately, we can do better, and we should do better. And the prosperity has to trickle down to the everyday people carrying this state on their back. Moms and dads are, parents and dropping their kids off at school in the carpool lane. You want to talk about in the morning getting it complicated? Try that. for a week in a row and picking up and sacrificing? Why are we doing all the sacrificing, but we're getting stuck with all the bills while the Democratic Party continues to run it amok? I don't care what they talk about. Every time they get on something, they talk about how we are and how broke down everything is. I'm sick of the broke down discussion. It's time to level up. These people are entrepreneurs, hustlers, people who are working hard and sacrificing for their families. In this election on June 2nd, it's time to do something different. Period. Send the mediator. The worst case scenario is I'm going to bring you optimism, opportunity, and a chance at bringing costs down, having leverage of your voice in Sacramento. No more of this machine stuff. Now, look, if you join a fraternity, usually you're going to have to do what the fraternity wants you to do. And sometimes you're going to get hazed when you join that fraternity. People know this in college. But why do they keep hazing the people? The last time I checked, if you join the fraternity, you get hazed. So let's stop hazing small business owners. Stop hazing everyday people that work. Let's do something different. No party preference means exactly that. I'm not beholden to either side. It's time to work together, find common ground for the people of this great state. California is a great state, but it's slipping away. People are getting squeezed.
Yeah. No party preference is a key thing. And I think so many times we put on our red jersey and our blue jersey, and as you say, we're still getting screwed either way. It's just somebody's wearing a different shirt. And we got to be careful not to join these political parties and these candidates just because they have the red or the blue tag on. Because look, we got a lot of my team, red team, up in Washington, D.C., and they're not doing what I want them to do all the time. So it's
right.
Don't be afraid of the no party preference people. What's the competition like in the field, and what's the timeline in which people will be able to cast a vote for Sean Collinson, candidate for lieutenant governor in the state of California?
So June 2nd, primaries. That's big. Now, we know that a lot of people don't show up for those primaries, but you're going to be getting those mailers, you're going to be getting those ballots. When you get on there, I'm the only Sean. Now, according to Ballotpedia, I know there's one other. So we have the field's about 10 deep, but it's heavy packed Democratic because they run the supermajority. So they've stacked the fraternity. And I always say, blue. So you got the red and you got the blue. But what about the red, white, and the blue? We don't just need the supermajority has stronghold. It's a stronghold on California. And we should be ashamed of ourselves that these people are working this hard and they cannot get the trickle down of the prosperity. So we have to stop this same broken record, which is equaling a broken promise. It's time on June 2nd, a vote for Sean is a vote for change. It's a vote for something different. If you know anything about going to court, dealing with lawyers and all these guys who are going to tell you how we are and, we can't do this. And then they're just going to give us this and the homelessness. We can't find the money. Point the finger at each other. Let's stop all that. Let's just stop. Just stop. Let's bring someone in who's going to do the right thing for the people that's not beholden to any side. Now, people have to remember on June 2nd, when you see my name on the ballot, Sean Collinson, that's your vote for change. That is the change agent name, Sean, like Sean Penn, like Sean Connery, Sean Collinson. It's there. So it's time to go. It's go time. When we come out the tunnel. Now look, we're on the 1 yard line. We're on the 1 yard line. June 1st, we're on the 1 yard line. June 2nd, California, make your vote. Your voice is Sean, SEAN.
Yeah. Now, talk about the one-party rule of California, because Gavin and his party have this thing locked down. I think the Republican Party has probably, in many sense, God bless them for fighting, but irrelevant with the state legislature. Talk about that one-party rule, the stranglehold, and why is the no party preference? What's the appeal of the no party preference as opposed to putting on the red jersey and running that way? Obviously, you have your motivation, and the one party rule in and of itself is very bad. So, whether a party preference or not, there needs to be a little bit more diversity politically in California.
That's right. That's a great question. Thank you for that question. So at the end of the day, look, you can't knock what they've been doing. They've set it up, supermajority. They run the state. Now there's candidates in this race, and you have to give a lot of credit and courage to both of the candidates on both parties on each side. Because at the end of the day, I believe that your heart computes way faster than your brain, right? So if you follow your heart and you get in this thing for the right reasons, you want to see if we can do better. And you would like to be part of the solution and not the problem. But for the last 16 years, statistically, it does show that the Democratic Party with the supermajority stronghold on California, they've been part of the problem. So we don't take anything away from them that they do get into this to do the right thing. But you're joining, just think about it, you're joining a party. So once you get into that machine, if you don't do what they want you to do, and that's not trickled down to prosperity to small business owners. No one could find $24 billion of the money we spent on the homelessness crises. So at the end of the day, you only have two options. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. So the way I see it is we don't need 4 more years of the problem because we already know what the problem is. And now I don't want to attach anyone to the caboose of being a problem. I believe their hearts are in the right place. And these are good folks that are coming to say, I want to be of service. But what I'm struggling with is I got a party agenda that I have to make sure I complete. The mission is the party. Sean Collinson is coming along to say, we know what the problem is. I'm a mediator and I'm bringing the solution. So when you vote for Sean Collinson, you're voting for change, something different, and the solution. Now we try that for 4 more years because they can't keep locking us down and we keep believing that they're going to do something different. That is literally, Einstein said, that is the definition of insanity, to keep doing the same thing. We've done it for 16 years and think, okay, wait a minute, we got to change the front line. We got to get some different players in here because now, because of these open seats, it's going to change. No, it's not. Unless we are bold and we come fearlessly to ask for change and send the mediator to Sacramento to get common ground for you, get the people's voice heard. We got to lock it in. They've been locking it in, and then they want to tell us how poor we are and how we are this and everyone's in jail and we got to do this. No, people are sick and tired of that. They want level up. They want game change. They want money in their pockets. It used to be the eggs was higher than the gas. Now, hey, eggs is in second place now. The gas is in first place. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch it, the state of California, and I see the numbers. I hear the tales of people that live there, the cost of living, and it seems like the governor, not running for re-election, running for president, is he ever in the state? Does he even live there anymore? It seems like he's gallivanting all around in America and all around the globe, with some kind of a case of a Trump derangement syndrome. Like, you can hate Trump all you want, but dude, you got problems in your state. Is Gavin really has he become an absentee governor? Or is that just my perception?
I think he's doing what he has to do, which is out of respect. I could see why he would be out of the state handling business. The Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kalalakis, she's amazing. I think that she's also turned out. You can tell by the gravity and the weight of things happening, this blame game that politicians get into and all the name calling and Gavin is now enlisting in some of this too. It's not gonna put money in small businesses' pockets. They're not gonna be that kind of rhetoric is childish. We need to move beyond that. That's also, if we're doing the list, that is a checklist for part of the problem. Part of the solution now is bringing people together and listening to their views and saying, look, here's what we have to do. What's happening in their communities? I talked to a gal the other day that said when she was out walking her dog, her kid was riding a scooter and they had to go around an encampment. And she said she understands the humanity piece that these people are on the street. But she said, you know what? I've worked hard. I didn't want my kid was asking a lot of questions. So we can do better So being maybe in the state where we still have ongoing issues, people are being squeezed and they're feeling it. And so they have a choice to make, and they can't and they're confused, right? Because they're beholden to their party, which I understand, and they should be loyal to that party. But doing something different doesn't mean you need to leave your party. It's just your vote is saying, hey, you know what? It's time we do come together for public safety, affordability, the cost of housing. At the rate California is going, everyone should get some stock in U-Haul, because the U-Haul is going to go up. People are leaving here in drones. The small businesses, I was the other day, I was charging my car. Lady standing next to me, and she said, we've had our business here for 13 years. And I go, that's great. Congratulations. She said, no, we're leaving California. And I said, why? She said, because we can't afford to operate here. She goes, we've done everything right. We've sacrificed our family. My cousin works in the business. My uncle works in the business. My husband works in the business. And we cannot stay above water. And I looked at her and I just felt a part of my why I'm running for lieutenant governor was for people like her, because that is just not right, that she has to put her whole family in a business, the taxes. And she said, every time we turn around, there's a new this, there's a new that. But then she said, the kicker was, we never see anything back to us. It's just like we're used. So that was part of my why. And I was, as a negotiator, I'll tell you where it actually started. And I came to the Rose Bowl during the fires, the Palisade and Eaton fires. I was at the fire camp. It's about 4,000 tents out there with people sleeping at fire camp. 2 forest workers came over to me. I was in plain clothes in a suit with a couple of commanders from the sheriff's department. They came over and they said, how you doing, sir? I said, I'm doing great, sir. How's your day? He goes, my day is good, sir. But, when you always get that but. Yeah, and it was 4 of them and it was 3 of us, but they were directing it directly to me. And the guy said, last night, sir, I never complained, but it dropped down in the 20s and I didn't have enough blankets. And I said, man, what happened to your blankets? He said, well, when the truck was here giving out the blankets, the big semi, there's a couple of gals behind me. So, I felt like they could use a couple of extra blankets. So I gave them mine. And I said, man, so I said, so we got to find you some blankets. He said, yes, sir. I said, I'll tell you what, there's a sergeant right there. I didn't know her from a can of paint. I just said, Sarge. And I talked to her for a second. She came right over. She said, yes, sir. I said, these guys need some blankets. She looked at me like I was crazy. She says, sir, that's a hot commodity around here. Why didn't they get them off the truck? Again, I know the problem. I need the solution right now. My guys need blankets. So I said, ma'am, let's try to find them some blankets. She just looked very doubtful, like this could never happen. This was at 1:30, 4:30. I'm leaving fire camp at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. I'm leaving. And I saw her and I said, Michelle, her name was Sanchez. So Sanchez, she went like this. Nope, it's not going to happen. I said, all right. I went ahead. I had to go pick up my son from school around 8:30, between 8:30, 8:45. My phone goes ping. I get a text message. I look at the phone. There's a picture of these forest workers who worked the hardest in California conservation. They all had brand new blankets. So that little message right there said, if God can trust me with the little things, you already know what he's going to trust me with the big things. So we have to show up on June 2nd. I'm that guy. I woke up that morning. I called my partner. Now I'm driving to court as the mediator. And I said to Claudia, I said, good morning. She's lead counsel. And I said, Claudia, I have a great idea. This was back in February. She said, what, Sean? Because I always have something. I said, I'm going to run for office. She said, don't tell me. Do not tell me you're going to run for lieutenant governor. I said, what? Are you must be tapping my phone. She said, I said, Claudia, that is so crazy you just said that. So the 2 of us agreed. And that's my why. Because I can help the people who are on the ground, boots on the ground, getting it done for their families, getting it done for their kids, sacrificing. You don't know what a sacrifice is like until you have kids and it's not about you anymore. And you got to get those babies to college. So the lieutenant governor with public safety can make sure those campuses are safe. Active shooting on the rise, mass shootings. We need public safety, affordability, so they don't have to worry about getting higher education. And the lieutenant governor does that. I don't hear these Democrats talking about that all the time unless they put it in a 2 or 3 minute, setup, reading a teleprompter script, doing their little commercial to sell you, oh, they're for it. I don't buy it. I'm not buying what they're selling. It's time to bring change. Whether it's me or you want to vote for someone else, do something different. June 2nd, put Sean in position and you'll be sending the mediator, your mediator, to Sacramento. And that's what Sacramento needs right now.
All right. Sean Collinson, my guest, candidate for lieutenant governor. Sean, real quick, we're running short on time. We have looks like your X file, your Twitter file right there on the screen. People can follow you there.
Let's see. That is my Instagram. That is my Instagram.
That's your Instagram.
Yes, and my website is Sean4ca.com, and that's just SeanForca.com. That's my website. You can find out more about the campaign, Sean4ca.com. My Instagram, he has it up on the screen. Lots of videos, good information. Let's reach out. Let's chat with each other. Let's lock in. We have to lock in, California. June 2nd, a vote for Sean is a vote for change. Thank you.
All right. You're watching Across America, listening on the iHeart, Spotify. Send this clip over to all of your friends in California as well. Get them locked in. And again, money is the mother milk of politics. I'm sure some money would also help the campaign. SeanForca.com. God bless you, Sean. Appreciate you hopping on here. Hopefully, the next lieutenant governor for the state of California, Sean Collinson, and SeanForca.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, recap here just a little bit. Some of the jokes are coming in. We'll do some of these jokes tomorrow, the best Chuck Norris jokes you've ever told, because we're running short on time. But I do like this from Jeff on Facebook. It says, when Chuck Norris goes to a restaurant, the waiter tips him. Chuck Norris can do a wheelie on a unicycle. I like that one as well. A lot of great jokes coming in. Chuck Norris's tears can cure cancer. Too bad he never cried. Yeah. All right. We'll do more Chuck Norris jokes tomorrow because those are quite fun. Also, if you missed the program earlier, go back and listen to it. Lisa says, my family and I just donated $250 to help match Chad's donation. God bless you both. So I was listening to Sean, so enjoying the conversation. I have not gone in and checked all the donations. But again, producer Chad stepping up with $500 of matching funds. I'm stepping up with $500 of matching funds. And we're trying to feed our kids at riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com, the charity I started, taking care of kids in Rwanda. This is all money going directly to the food shortage we have there. And if you can make a donation, do so. And but producer Chad's got a $500 matching fund. I've got a $500 matching fund. And again, this is going to really help us move forward. We had a crisis on Sunday. We had to raise an immediate on Sunday afternoon, trying to raise some money. And we raised that, thankfully, thanks to our board. But producer Chad now jumping in with $500 matching funds. $500, Rivers Promise. You give $1, he'll give $1. You give $200, he'll give $200, up to $500. Same with me. You give $25, I'll give $25, and it's double the impact. And what you do today literally can be on the ground tomorrow, helping feed babies and feed kids in our Rivers Promise Legacy Christian Academy. Again, the website, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org, or riverspromise.com. Both of them work. Stacy just said she jumped in at $100. So if we're taking that out of Chad's matching funds, we spent $350 of his money. And I've got $500 on the table as well. So keep it coming all day long. If we exceed it, maybe somebody else wants to throw down a match on it. We can do that as well. But right now, producer Chad have $500 each on it, $1,000 total. Riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org. And if you're new to the program, wonder what this Rivers Promise thing is, go check it out. It's a promise I simply made to my son when I adopted him from Rwanda, that I'd take care of the kids that did not get the luxury. And I tried to adopt more. I actually tried to adopt 4. Yeah, I didn't. I was not successful. But I got a great one. The beautiful boy. Now he's a big old guy, plays the college football. But yeah, it's a promise I made that I never wanted my son to look at a photo of the kids of the old orphanage and go, "What happened to those other kids?" And I go, "I don't know what happened to them." I wanted to take care of them and make sure they have been taken care of. We're taking care of a whole new group of them now. RiversPromise.com, RiversPromise.org. $500 from the illustrious producer Chad, matching funds. $500 from me. You donate today, and boom, magic happens, and kids get fed. Remember, kids who go to Legacy Christian Academy would not be in school if it weren't for what we're doing. Kids who go to Legacy Christian Academy would become street kids. They'd be petty theft. They get older. They enter the life of prostitution. These are the forgotten kids of Rwanda, the poorest of the poor you'll find. We're building an amazing state-of-the-art school there. And food is an essence. Most of the kids who go to school don't have a sponsor. You can sponsor a kid, but most of our kids don't have sponsors, and therefore our food, we feed them anyway. We send them to school anyway, just out of the kindness of the charity. But you can, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com, make that donation. Spend producer Chad's money, spend my money, and most importantly, help a kid. You never, producer, I got to do meme roulette, and we got things to do today, but I'll never forget the first time I read it. We read them all the time. The kids write letters to the sponsors. Producer Chad has his. He just got his last week, and they're a little slow. I think they're written in February, but by the time we get them translated over here, it's a little process. But I'll never forget the first time I read one. There's a young lady about 15, 16, and said, "Thank you for sponsoring me." It's to her sponsor, not to me. I realize now as I get older that the girls in my area that did not get a sponsor or not going to your school, they have been subject to life of prostitution. Many of them have many kids. It perpetuates the cycle of poverty. 15, 16-year-old girl ends up in horrible situation of prostitution, ends up pregnant. Now she has more mouths to feed besides her own, and now it perpetuates a cycle of literal prostitution at a young age, and we're saving kids from that. Boys end up in they can end up in similar types of behavior, but they can also end up in a lot of theft and petty theft. So we're saving kids off the streets in a forgotten area. But I know it's for Africa. There's a lot of needs in California. Believe me, there's a lot of needs in Colorado. And if that's what the good Lord asks you to put your money towards, do that. That's fine. But if you feel that tingle in your heart, that nudge in your spirit that says, Jesus didn't just say stay in the neighborhood. He said, go into all the world and preach the gospel. And he listed out the places that were different. So I'm an America first kind of guy, right? I'm an America first kind of guy. But I'm also, as producer Chad referenced, Matthew 25 guy, that as much as you do it to the least of these, you do it to me. So just remember, you give that donation, you're feeding a child that could have ended up a thief, could have ended up a prostitute. You're feeding a kid that probably was not. A lot of kids didn't eat all weekend. They go to our school. They come back to school Monday morning ready to go because they're going to get 2 meals a day. RiversPromise.com, RiversPromise.org. Matching funds on the table. Producer Chad, 500. I've got 500. Blow the doors off of it. Somebody said the website's running a little slow. Get ready for the deluge. I pray that we have a deluge. That'd be a fantastic problem for us to have. All right. And by the way, when you're giving, remember that stress we talked about earlier? Yeah. My chiropractor will be thrilled. He's like, you're carrying too much stress on your back. I'm like, I'll be all right. The good Lord provides. All right, let's do a stolen meme section of the show. We go around the globe and we steal memes from around the globe. And we giggle, we laugh, and they illustrate the absurdity of the world we live in. So let's do it. The stolen meme section of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Oh, there we go. There's a Gavin Newsom meme right IQ. Public trust, 11%. Gas station sushi, you trust it. I don't know if that's a campaign ad for Sean Collinson or not, but it should be. Do you trust Gavin Newsom as your governor more than you trust gas station sushi? I think the number to be higher in Colorado with Jared Polis. I'd rather have the gas station sushi maybe than the governorship of Jared Polis. By the way, producer Chad said that Sean Collinson, a candidate for lieutenant governor, just donated $100 on our matching fund drive. So God bless you, Sean. Producer Chad just popped in and flashed my screen to let me know Sean just donated $100. God bless you. We appreciate you, friend. Sean4ca.com is his website again, Sean4ca.com. All right, let me... Let's do another one. Sorry, I forgot. I'm between fundraising and stolen meme section. Round and round. I have distractions, Delilah. Round and around the globe we go. Where are we steal the memes from? No one knows. Kids today carrying a 40-ounce Stanley cups like they're crossing the Sahara Desert. Listen, we had a 6-second sip from a rusty school water fountain and went back to dodgeball fighting for our lives. That is so true. When was the last time you saw a public water fountain? Did you get? I saw one a couple of months ago, and I wanted to drink from it, and I kind of leaned over and I said, maybe I don't. Remember you had the kids that would suck that thing to put their mouth right on it, and you got in line after recess. The public water fountains, that's kind of the thing gone by the wayside. Yeah, that's all we got, kids. No Stanleys for us. Round around the globe we go. Where are we still the memes from? No one knows. When you're 15 booster shots deep. I bet she ain't going to get the COVID, though, right? Phew. That could also be captioned, tell me you vote Democrat without saying it. Tell me you support Gavin Newsom without saying so. Round around the globe we go. Where we still the memes from? No one knows. Finally, my winter fat is gone. Now I have spring rolls. I know, Delilah. I'm on a diet. I'm on it. Yeah, I'm working on it. Round around that hits home. That hurts, producer Chad. Round around the globe we go. Where we still the memes from? No one knows. Now, every time we hear a thunderstorm, it's just Chuck Norris in a rematch with Bruce Lee. I love the Chuck Norris jokes. They're a gift that keeps on giving. Round around the globe we go. Where we still the memes from? No one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, we have stolen all the memes we're allowed to steal today. You know why? Because China has stinged in and said no more stealing intellectual property. No one will be better than intellectual property than we will. So China's very jealous. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll check the count. I haven't counted. I know Sean Collinson just checked in. He told producer Chad he donated $1,000 and $100, not $1,000. I was optimistic. $100. Stacy's jumped in. Tina, there's a lot. I see some dings, but I can't check them all. So again, $500 of matching funds, and I'd appreciate it immensely for your participation today. Matching funds. It's all for the food. All for the foods. And if you'd like to throw matching funds, we'll spend your money tomorrow. Will you match Jimmy and Chad? Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be on the program today. We'll be back here bright and early tomorrow morning. And we'll get more news tomorrow. I'll find out where R.P. Newman went. R.P. Newman had disappeared on us. He'll be getting a piece of my mind today. Good knows he needs a piece of my mind. I'll let him know that he has failed us, and we expect full repentance from him. We'll do that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. I'll see you tomorrow. I've got fundraiser show. I'm like, what are we doing? Closing the show. Okay. God bless you. God bless America. I am the very confused and tired Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here. We all should get out of here. Everybody go to work. Somebody go to work and donate riverspromise.org. And God bless you. See you. I'm out of here.